everyone, welcome or welcome back. If you're new here, my name's Nina. I'm a life transformation coach, and today I wanted to talk about what we can do when we are simply consumed by suffering, when we are going through a situation that is just so challenging that we are completely overwhelmed and we are just not convinced that we are going to get through it. How can we learn to really find and focus on that light at the end of the tunnel? So many times when we are going through something this challenging, we simply feel lost or we feel hopeless. We feel like nothing else matters. We feel like there is no way we are ever going to feel better, that there's no way we are ever going to get past this. Maybe our career or a major relationship has ended. Maybe we are experiencing an illness or someone we love is experiencing an illness. Maybe there is a situation that we're in that we never thought we'd be in, or we just simply don't have answers for or have no idea how we are possibly going to handle it. And I know so many times when we're in these difficult situations, it just seems like all these other things keep piling up. And while that may not necessarily be true, it can feel that way because our defenses are down. We feel weak and it seems like just everything is so overwhelming. But no matter how terrible we are feeling right now, we do have to understand and remember that emotional pain does not last forever. At some point, it does stop. At some point, we are able to heal. Now, that does not mean that we are always going to have the resolution that we are looking for. It could mean that the very thing that we are fearing will occur. We have no way of knowing that. However, no matter what happens, we will be able to find a way to adapt, to regroup, and to move on. So today I wanted to talk about how we can learn to do that. And for me, one of the biggest parts of this process is finding that light at the end of the tunnel, finding something that we think would make us feel better at some point. We need to look for an aspect of the outcome that is going to eventually provide us with relief. And again, it may not be the exact thing that we were hoping to happen, but we've got to come up with something in the future that we can look forward to that would be some kind of improvement. Finding and then keeping that focus is really the key because it's going to allow us to keep moving on this difficult path that we're on. We have to get through this path to get to the other side, but a lot of times we just feel frozen, we feel stuck, and when we feel stuck, we lose momentum and we stay within the suffering. So in order to move past that suffering, we've got to continue moving forward. So today I want to talk about 8 different ways that we can keep that momentum going so we can eventually have an end to the suffering. The first is to find support. And I know a lot of times we may feel that we want to be alone or we feel that we are alone, but in reality, if we can seek out support, it is going to be extremely beneficial for us. And that could be in the form of a friend, of a family member, and certainly a mental health professional who is trained to help us through these types of situations and can certainly provide support and help us to heal from these difficult situations. But most importantly, we just want to make sure that we are surrounding ourselves with as much help as we can find right now, because when we are in this state where we're not really ourselves, it's very helpful to be able to lean on someone during these times. Number 2 is to look for solutions. Now, I know it could definitely be the case that the solution that we would want for this issue is not available to us, which is why we are experiencing so much suffering. However, it is probably possible that we can minimize our suffering if we look around for solutions to other aspects of this issue, to some of the more external factors. What can we think of that would help us to feel better? These are the types of things that we can think about to, again, allow us to make the suffering as little as possible. Number 3 is to create space between other upsetting things. So this could mean upsetting people or places or experiences, anything that is going to really add to our misery. The last thing that we want to do when we are already not feeling our best is to put ourselves in situations where we have to deal with things that we also find upsetting. And so that means that we may want to find ways to really distance ourselves from these things if it's feasible, so that we don't continuously add on to the upset. There's really only so much a person can take. So if we know ahead of time that some of these things are upsetting and it's possible to avoid them, at least temporarily, it may be something to consider. Number 4 is to create new beginnings. What tends to happen is that we get so focused on these endings that it seems like everything is stopping. But we can remember that we can control other changes. We can experience controlled change by starting new things that would add happiness to our life. So a new career, a new relationship, a new hobby, doesn't matter what it is. But if we can think of this time as not just something ending or not just something painful happening, but also as a time that we can make positive changes that we can create ourselves, it's going to also help us to heal a lot faster. Number 5 is to find things that spark joy. And I know during this difficult time we may feel like there is nothing that could make us feel joyful right now. But if we really dig deep, we can probably think of at least a few things that could make us feel a little bit joyful, whether it be something as small as a scented candle, or something like spending a little time with our pet, or taking a bubble bath, or going to see the sunset or the ocean, or going on a walk. Something that could spark joy just for a few moments to give us a little relief and to remind us that this one situation isn't our whole life. There are still positive things out there. We just have to put a little extra effort in right now so that we can find them. The 6th thing is to take breaks from thinking about the issue. What tends to happen is that we are so consumed by this situation that our stress level is like at 100% all the time. And as you can imagine, that just takes such a serious toll on our mental health, and we really can't sustain that. We cannot live in a constant state of stress and anxiety. We have to take breaks. And I know it seems silly to think, well, how can I take a break from my stress or take a break from my anxiety? And the answer is we have to simply distract ourselves. We have to intentionally put focus elsewhere. So maybe that means reading a book or watching a movie or calling a friend, but find something that can completely consume you that is not related to the issue. Number 7 is to practice extreme self-care. And please know that self-care is not just a bubble bath. It's not just a facial. Yes, it could be these things, but more importantly, it is about meeting our needs, both emotionally and physically. So we want to look at the ways that we really aren't taking care of ourselves right now, which probably include not getting enough sleep, not eating well, not exercising, not getting outdoors, not spending enough time by ourselves, and being able to really, again, take breaks from the stressor in our life. So we want to find ways to truly take care of ourselves and take care of ourselves, again, both mentally and physically. Usually when we are in stressful situations, that's when we practice the least self-care, when in reality, that's when we really need to be upping the self-care as much as possible, because the more strength that we can feel, the more resilient we are going to be. And that requires us taking really good care of ourselves. And lastly, stay focused on the positive outcome we are looking for. And this is probably the most important part of the process. And it's going to begin with deciding right now what that light at the end of the tunnel means to you. What is something that you can look forward to? And we want to make sure that it is something that is realistic. We don't want to think of something that we're not going to believe. We have to think about something that we could very likely make happen, or very likely will happen, that we can stay hyper focused on. Because when we can do that, at the end of the day, when we close our eyes, we can tell ourselves, I am one step closer to this outcome. I am one step further away from this problem, because we have to remind ourselves this pain is not going to last forever. So we can find ways to create reminders for ourselves about whatever this light at the end of the tunnel is for us. We could post up photos. We can spend time daily meditating about it or journaling about it. But we want to stay focused on that outcome. We want to think about I am the prize, because again, your suffering is not going to last forever. I know that you may feel like it really is, but remember, you've gotten through everything in your life that you have ever been presented with. And you may very well feel that this is the most challenging thing that you have ever been presented with. But rest assured, you will get through this. As I always say, we are warriors. We have gotten through so many things. If we look back, think about all the things that we have been through in our life. And we've got to give ourselves credit for that, and credit for being as strong as we are, because life isn't always easy. But we can make it amazing. And part of this process is just simply trusting in the fact that our suffering will end and that we will get through this. So I truly hope that you found today's video to be healing and helpful, and I would love to hear your thoughts. If you are going through something yourself right now that is challenging and difficult, feel free to share if you're comfortable below. We have a very supportive community here, and if you're not already part of the community, just go ahead and subscribe and make sure that you hit the bell notifications so you know when we release another video. And I want to thank you so much for spending time with me today. I truly hope the rest of your day is extraordinary. I send you so much love and support, and I look forward to seeing you next time. Have an amazing day, guys. Take care.